All right, Steelers Nation, buckle up because we've got a lot to unpack after that nail-biter against the Colts. Yeah, the black and gold walked away with a win, 27-20, but anyone who watched that game knows it wasn't all pretty. The defense came to play, no question about that. But the offense? Man, that's where things get complicated. There were moments where they looked sharp, moments that made you think maybe this group is finally finding its rhythm, and then stretches that had you rubbing your temples wondering what exactly was going on out there. First off, let's talk injuries because they're starting to pile up again. Isaac Sumalo aggravated that pec injury, and it didn't look great when he had to leave the field. Mike Tomlin's expected to give an update soon, but if Sumalo can't go next week against the Chargers, that means Spencer Anderson is probably getting a shot. Anderson's not just a fill-in. He's been one of those quiet grinders waiting for his chance, and now it's here. He's solid, technically sound, and definitely not afraid of contact. But let's be honest, losing Sumalo, even for a short stretch, could shake up the chemistry of that offensive line, just when it felt like things were starting to click. Now, as much as we've been talking about offensive struggles, the Steelers still did something crucial. They capitalized when the defense handed them golden opportunities. That's what winning teams do. When the defense forced that fumble in the second quarter, the offense took over at midfield and marched 56 yards for a touchdown. Jaylen Warren punched it in, and you could feel the stadium lift. Then, just a few minutes later, another gift from the defense. An interception setting the offense up at the Colts' 14-yard line. You can't waste those, and they didn't. Aaron Rodgers zipped a 12-yard strike to Pat Freiermuth for 6, clean and confident. Early in the fourth, same story. Another interception, another short field, another 56-yard drive, finished off by Warren again. So yeah, when the defense teed it up for them, the offense got it done. That part worked. But outside of those setups, things were way too flat. The running game, man, it just wasn't there. 23 carries for 38 yards total. That's 1.7 yards per carry. You could almost walk backwards for that. Jaylen Warren had 16 carries for 31 yards himself. That's 1.9 a pop. And let's be real, if not for his 2 touchdowns, this would be the #1 headline today. Nobody wants to say it out loud because winning hides a lot of flaws, but it's still a problem. And don't even think about saying they made up for it in the passing game, because the running backs weren't producing there either. Warren caught 2 passes for -2 yards. That's right, negative. It's not easy to go backward in receiving yards, but somehow he managed. Kenny Gainwell did a little better, catching 4 for 35, but it wasn't nearly enough to make up for the lack of push on the ground. It's one of those things where you can sense the rhythm never really settled in. The wide receivers, though, that's where the bigger concern lies. This offense has always relied on its tight ends being a major factor, and that's fine. 10 catches from the tight end group compared to 8 from the wideouts isn't unusual for how this scheme works. But what's not fine is seeing your supposed top receiver, DK Metcalf, basically disappear. Only 4 targets, 2 catches, 6 total yards. All of those are season lows. 1 drop in the mix, too. It's not like Rodgers forgot how to find him. Something about the Colts defense clearly spooked him off that connection. And when your quarterback starts looking away from his go-to guy, you've got to wonder what's happening in that communication. Calvin Austin ended up leading the team in receiving. 5 catches for 56 yards, but even that didn't exactly blow anyone away. It was steady, reliable, but not game-changing. And that's the problem. The Steelers have been talking about finding another weapon, maybe making a move before the trade deadline. And after this game, that talk feels louder than ever. Roman Wilson looked like he was starting to carve out a role for himself, but then he went airborne trying to hurdle a defender when all he needed to do was hang on to the ball. You could almost feel the entire coaching staff groan at once. Those are the kind of mistakes that don't just frustrate fans. They stick in the minds of coaches, and it takes a long time to earn back that trust. Then there were those unforced errors that don't show up in the box score, but drive quarterbacks and coaches absolutely crazy. Kenny Gainwell not turning his head fast enough for a pass, leaving Rodgers visibly heated. You might not have caught it on the broadcast, but trust me, it happened. Darnell Washington dropping what should have been a sure touchdown down near the goal line. Those are the plays you have to make if you're serious about being more than just competitive. Rodgers didn't hold back when he was asked about it after the game. You could tell he's frustrated, not angry, but the kind of frustrated where he knows this team can be better. He said he loved the play call, but thought the execution just wasn't good enough. "We got to look in a mirror and play better," he said, and he's right. The defense was incredible, but the offense has to match that energy. You can't keep winning tight ones and think it'll last. Still, let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. A win is a win, and turning 3 straight takeaways into touchdowns is the mark of a team that's learning how to finish. But it's also clear they're not where they need to be yet. The word Tomlin loves to use, stacking, keeps coming up. You can't just stack wins. You got to stack progress. The Steelers took care of business against a beatable team, but to climb to where they want to be, they've got to fix these lapses on offense. It feels like they're on the right escalator, but maybe missed a step or two along the way. Now, all eyes turn to what comes next, the trade deadline and how the front office decides to approach it. Because let's face it, this roster still has holes. The buzz right now is about whether they'll go after another wide receiver, maybe someone to give Rodgers a reliable number 2 option. That's the flashy move, sure, and it would get fans hyped. But the quieter, more realistic concern might be on the offensive line. Depth is thin, and with Sumalo possibly sidelined, you're one bad hit away from a serious problem. Spencer Anderson stepping up is great, but that also leaves his role as the 6th lineman open. You can't run a long season hoping everyone stays healthy. And that's where the Steelers have to make a smart, not emotional, decision. Do you chase another receiver just to make headlines? Or do you shore up the line and protect your quarterback? The great teams in this league don't always make the sexy moves. They make the ones that keep them standing in January. Right now, the Steelers have the defense of a contender, but the offense still feels like it's figuring out who it wants to be. They got the pieces. They just need to put them together without relying on the defense to keep bailing them out. This game was another reminder that progress in the NFL is never a straight line. Some weeks you take 2 steps forward, and the next you stumble a bit. But as long as the black and gold keep grinding, keep building, and keep trusting the process, they'll be in the mix when it matters most. There's no panic here, but there's definitely urgency. The offense can't keep living off short fields and turnovers forever. At some point, they'll need to march down the field and score on their own terms. That's the next step for this group, and they know it. Steelers Nation dives right into what's been bubbling under the surface, this team's identity. Because right now, they're walking a fine line between being good enough to win and being strong enough to dominate. The talent is there, the leadership is there, but consistency, that's what's missing. Every time it looks like the offense is ready to explode, something pulls them back. Whether it's penalties, dropped passes, missed reads, or just an overall lack of rhythm, it keeps holding them at arm's length for where they want to be. Mike Tomlin always says that the standard is the standard, and this week, that phrase is going to echo through the building. You can bet he's already thinking about how to spark some urgency in this offense. Rodgers is still settling in, and while his experience brings calm, there's also a noticeable edge to his tone lately. He wants more, and that's a good thing. His post-game comments weren't angry outbursts. They were challenges. Challenges to himself, to the receivers, to the line, to every player wearing black and gold. Because when you look at this roster, there's no excuse for putting up just 27 points when the defense gives you 3 turnovers. You got to turn that kind of day into 40 points minimum. That's the expectation for teams that want to play deep into January. Now, about that defense, what a performance. They were relentless, opportunistic, and smart. Every single one of those takeaways changed the energy in the stadium. You could almost feel the shift every time they forced a turnover, and the offense, for the most part, responded. That synergy is what you want to see, but to make it sustainable, both sides of the ball have to elevate together. The defense can't keep carrying all the weight. At some point, the offense has to start setting the tone. That means controlling the clock, converting on 3rd downs, and finding that balance between aggressive play calling and smart decision-making. The running game is going to be the first item on the fix-it list. Those numbers don't lie. 38 rushing yards in a full game isn't just a slump, it's a red flag. You can't win consistently in this league if you're averaging less than 2 yards per carry. It throws off everything. The play action doesn't work, defenses stop respecting the run, and suddenly your quarterback is dealing with extra pressure because nobody's biting on the fake. The Steelers have to reestablish that physical identity. They've got the backs for it. Jalen Warren's got that burst and grit. Najee Harris can pound through defenders, but they need holes to run through. That means the offensive line has to play meaner, sharper, and with more confidence. Sumalo's injury makes it tougher, but it also opens the door for someone like Anderson to make a name for himself. And then there's the question everyone's asking. Should the Steelers make a move before the deadline? The answer might depend on how bold they want to be. Wide receiver 2 has been a weak spot all season. DK Metcalf's quiet day raised eyebrows, but it also highlighted a bigger issue. Defenses have figured out how to take away his routes when there isn't another threat on the opposite side. Calvin Austin showed flashes, but flashes won't cut it if you're trying to chase a playoff berth. Roman Wilson could grow into that role, but he's still learning, and moments like that fumble attempt don't exactly build trust. So yeah, a trade for a receiver can make sense, but it's not the only area they should be looking at. Offensive line depth is the kind of thing fans rarely get excited about, but inside the organization, it's viewed like gold. You need it to survive the grind of an NFL season. The Steelers learned that lesson the hard way last year. If they can add a versatile lineman who can play tackle or guard, that might be the smartest long-term move they can make. Because when February rolls around, it's not the flashy teams that last. It's the ones with the depth to handle anything. And right now, Pittsburgh's depth is stretched thin. There's also a philosophical question at play here. What kind of team do the Steelers want to be? Are they leaning into the defense-first identity that's always defined the franchise, or are they trying to modernize, to evolve into a more explosive, offensive-minded team? You can see flashes of both. One week, they grind out an old-school win, relying on turnovers and field position. The next, they try to open it up with tempo and downfield shots. The trick is to merge those worlds, to find that balance between aggression and control. The teams that master that are the ones still playing when the snow starts falling. The Chargers game coming up is going to be a real test. Los Angeles might not have the best record, but that defense can get after you, and playing on the road adds another layer of challenge. If the Steelers can go out there and clean up the little things, convert third downs, protect the ball, execute in the red zone, they'll give themselves a shot to build momentum. Because that's what it's all about now. You've got to take these gritty wins and turn them into statements. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the most talked about moves of the NFL offseason, whispers are circulating that wide receiver Rashid Shahed is on the verge of joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. According to sources close to ESPN, an agreement has allegedly been reached, though neither the team nor Shahed's camp has officially confirmed the deal. Fans across the Steel City are already buzzing with speculation, imagining how the dynamic receiver could reshape the Steelers' offensive arsenal. Shahed, known for his explosive speed and playmaking ability, has made waves in the league with his knack for turning short passes into long gains and stretching defenses with his deep threat potential. Steelers fans have long been clamoring for a game-changer at wideout, and Shahed's rumored arrival could signal the franchise's intention to revitalize its aerial attack. Analysts suggest that his skill set would complement Pittsburgh's existing core, pairing with established stars to create a more versatile, unpredictable offense. The timing of the rumor is also fueling excitement. With the offseason in full swing and teams jockeying for roster improvements, the mere hint of Shahed donning the black and gold has sent social media into a frenzy. Memes, mock jerseys, and highlight reels are already circulating, each imagining Shahed racing past defenders at Heinz Field. Meanwhile, NFL insiders are dissecting the potential contract implications, roster moves, and even how his presence could affect the team's draft strategy. Skeptics caution that until an official statement is released, this remains firmly in the realm of rumor. Yet, the buzz is undeniable. Sports talk shows are reportedly planning segments dedicated solely to the potential signing, debating everything from Shaheed's fit in Pittsburgh's offensive schemes to how he might energize a fan base eager for another playoff run. Whether this deal materializes or not, one thing is clear. The Steelers' rumor mill is hotter than ever, and Rashid Shaheed's name is at the center of it all. For now, fans can only speculate, dream, and prepare for what could be one of the most thrilling additions to the team in recent memory. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.